Alrighty, wonderful. I'm so happy you're here. If you're here live, please say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're joining from. Most importantly, if you're a new practice owner, will you let me know in the comments just how long your practice has been open? And if you are someone who does sort of fall under this new private practice owner, that might be new, like just starting. That might be new, like a year. New means lots of different things. But let me know kind of where you're coming from when it comes to this whole niching thing. Hi, Sunshine, joining from Ontario. Good to see you. Um, because like I said, this whole topic of niching when you're brand new can be really unique. And so I just want to make sure that we have another Ontario, Kira. You guys should connect. um, can be kind of tumultuous, and so that's really why we're here today. So if you haven't joined us before, and if my face is new to you, I'm really happy you're here. My name's Anna Walker. I get to lead this amazing community, which I find to be one of the best places on the internet. And everything that we do around here, in this Get Booked Out community, and also in my marketing company, Walker Strategy Co., is helping you market yourself, grow your practice in a way that is equal parts authentic. Hello, feels good to you, right? And effective. Hello, gets results. We think that success is when both of those things are happening. So you're never going to find us recommending that you do anything that feels out of alignment with who you are as a clinician. And we also, because we have the privilege of supporting literally hundreds of clinicians per year, you get access to all of our insights, what we're seeing work. And it's really important to us that the strategy, the insight, the guidance we're providing you is the most up-to-date, what's actually working in the private practice world right now advice. So that's what we do around here. All right, Tally, hello from Rockford. Good to see you. Transitioning from school setting to your own private practice, launching this month, maybe next month because it's the end of May here, Tally, but either way, congratulations. Switching from school to private practice is a big leap, but we are cheering you on. Lori joining from Bowling Green. Hi, Lori, you're just north of me. I'm here in Nashville. I'll be going into private practice in mid-July. Excellent. So we're kind of coming up on that. So really glad you guys are here. If you're catching the replay of this, excellent. I still welcome your comments and questions. You can do a hashtag replay in the comments. If you're here live and you have questions, jot them down into the comments. We always end these sessions answering anything that you're wondering about. So if as I'm going through, you're like, what's that mean for me? I'd be happy to let you know. So let's dive in. The best way to niche yourself when you're a new private practice owner. Now, let's make sure that we're really clear on why your niche actually matters, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to niche. I just don't think that that's an option in today's day and age. We did a survey last year at the end of 2023, and we just were shocked at how, and it really just reinforced how important a niche really is in the market right now, especially if you're someone looking to attract private pay clients. Even if you're paneled with insurance, it can really help you attract better fit clients. So your niche, it matters. Why? Right? Especially if you're newer and everyone's like, pick a niche. You're like, why? Doesn't a niche exclude clients that I could serve? Right? Doesn't a niche pigeonhole me for the rest of my career? No and no. The power of a niche gives direction to your marketing, especially when you're brand new in private practice. You're getting advice from all different directions. You're probably consuming things from Facebook groups, you're reading blog posts, you're downloading freebies, you're watching trainings. There's so much noise, and there are so many ways you can grow your practice. When you have a niche, you get to decide what makes sense for your practice, and it gives direction to your marketing and helps you avoid that kind of just spinning your wheels, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks kind of thing. So it gives direction to your own marketing. The other thing is that it gives direction to the marketing that your potential clients are experiencing. So rather than landing on your website and you being the jack of all trades, the person who just does everything and anything, come to me with any issue, any demographic, I'll help you. It helps your ideal client know if they're right for you. Because here's the thing, you may be new in private practice. You may be figuring out who your ideal client is and the work that you love to do. Guess what? You are still the right client for a certain type, the right therapist for a certain type of client. You are not the right therapist for every person, right? Right? There are clients that you're just not the right fit for. Who are those clients? Who are the clients you are the right fit for? That's really what a niche is going to do. So it gives direction not just to your own marketing decisions, but it also gives direction to your ideal clients so they know, oh, interesting, Lori, I resonate with that. Maybe I am in the right place. That's the sensation we give people when we have a strong niche. Like I mentioned, it helps you attract those better fit clients because they're like, oh, I actually belong here or I don't. We talk about good marketing and good niching, attracting right fit clients, blessing and releasing those that don't fit that bill. Your niche does that. That is the foundation. It also allows you to attract higher paying clients. That's just what we see be true. We support many clinicians who are either transitioning to full fee or are 100% full fee, and their niche is one of the main reasons they are able to command the fee that they choose to set. So whether that's 150, 250, 350 plus, their niche is what is really attracting those clients to them because those clients feel like there's something this clinician offers that I value enough, I belong here enough that sure I'll pay whatever rate I need to pay. So your niche is really really powerful, excuse me, in attracting those full fee clients. Ultimately, it makes your marketing less exhausting. That's what a niche does because it helps you avoid doing the things that you don't need to be doing to grow your practice. And it gives you better results. So you're not wasting time on consultations or in intake appointments with people who aren't the right fit. It does some of that legwork for you when your niche is clear. Now, that's why we need a niche. But if you're sitting here as a new private practice owner and you are curious about this training, it's because you're like, yeah, okay, but why or how. You might be struggling here because you appreciate variety in your caseload and you're not interested in pigeonholing yourself for the rest of your career. Maybe you enjoy working with lots of different people, lots of different presenting issues. So it feels really incongruent to pick something and to exclude those others. So maybe you're someone who really appreciates variety. Maybe you're still early on in figuring out what you even do like, right? And so it feels again incongruent to say, well, I guess I'm only going to serve these folks, but like what if I actually would do really good work with these folks? You're still exploring that. You're still early on in that process. And keep in mind, your niche is going to evolve for the rest of your career. This is something that you're going to revisit regularly, whether you've been in practice for 2 weeks or 20 years. But not knowing what you like can feel like, well, why would I just pick something like out of a list, right? And there's also the very common fear. I wonder if any of you can resonate with this. You don't want to miss out on clients, right? You're new in private practice. You have goals. You have session per week goals. You have income goals. How are you supposed to do that if you can't get clients? And what if choosing a niche means you missed out on people that would otherwise be reaching out to you? That FOMO, that fear of missing out in the world of niching, is one of the most common obstacles that we see clinicians experience and that we help them work through. But that is often kind of some of the struggles that new folks resonate with. So if that makes sense for you, let me know sort of in the comments. If there are other struggles you have around niching, let us know there too. Because it is, when you're early on in practice, this idea of choosing something can feel like you're being locked in. It can feel very, very limiting. And the fact is, most of the traditional niching advice out there kind of is limiting. It's like, all right, pick a presenting issue. You're a trauma therapist now, or you only work with women, pick this really, really specific demographic, this really specific symptom, this really specific presenting issue. And that's your niche. If you want to have a good niche, you got to pick. And that's just not what we've seen be true. And so I sort of want to walk you through our approach to niching, and then within our approach, what is best for private practice owners. So we've served over 3,000 clinicians in our paid programs and our paid services. So like I said, we've been able to sort of pay attention to what works and what doesn't. And as we have done that over the last 5 years, we saw sort of 4 different types of niches emerge. That people were really successful in, particularly in the private pay space, since many of the clinicians that we support are aiming to be private pay. So those 4 types of niches are niching yourself around a certain type of person, a certain type of problem, a certain type of approach, a certain type of outcome, or a certain type of approach. So people, certain type of person could be demographic, it could be women, it could be the LGBTQ plus community. It could also be a particular type of person, creatives, empaths, highly sensitive people, neurodivergent, certain type of person. So that's an option. It is an option. It's kind of a traditional way of thinking about a niche. Presenting problem. That's like the standard niche. So you focus around this idea of trauma. You focus around this idea of grief. Maybe you focus around this problem of not being in touch with themselves. Maybe you focus around this problem of being tired of having this like mask of having it all together on the outside and not having it together on the inside. So that's what a presenting what a problem-based niche would be. Then there's outcome. Outcome is when you consider all the different types of clients you love to serve, they're all trying to get to a similar place. And so you niche yourself around the outcome. So an example of that would be therapy for long-term change. Doesn't every therapist hope that their clients are experiencing long-term change? But you can actually niche your practice around that outcome. Improving your relationships, feeling more connected, feeling more fulfilled. Those are actually, believe it or not, niches when you base yourself around the outcome. And then there's the approach. And this is more about you and how you work. So if you consider and sort of hold in your mind the different types of clients you love to work with, why do they choose you and not another therapist? It's one of my favorite questions to ask clinicians. And so if you sit with that right now, why do clients choose you and not someone else? Probably has to do with something related to your approach. It might just be that you are, you're authentic. You show up as a real person. It could be your training and your kind of your modalities and your orientation to your work. It could just kind of be your style. It could be the fact that you're very inclusive and affirming. Whatever that might be, you can actually niche yourself around that thing that people choose you for. So those are the 4 different types. Now, when we have worked with people, both early on, pre-launch, like some of these folks right here, or up to 20, 30 years of practice, those early on really, really benefit from the latter 2 types. So if you are newer to private practice, and you're struggling with the idea of variety, of not knowing what you like, of fear of missing out, niching yourself around either an outcome or an approach is where we've seen folks like you be super, super successful. Here's an example. So if you were to niche yourself around an outcome, maybe you're someone who loves working with couples, you love working with women who are full of self-doubt, and you also do kind of like trauma-informed work. Okay, let's hold those couples, those women, and trauma-informed work in our minds. What's the theme? Where are you getting all of those folks to? As you sit with it, you might realize, okay, couples, pretty obvious. They're usually coming in with relationship issues. But you also realize, wow, these women who are looking for sort of empowerment and struggle and are struggling with self-doubt, the self-doubt is showing up in their relationships with others. It's where they're starting to doubt themselves, where they're second guessing, the conversations that they had at work. And many of the, lots of the trauma-informed work that you do is actually how people are reacting in their relationships, ways that they're not proud of, they're isolating. So there's this undercurrent of all of these folks desiring to improve their relationships with themselves and with others. You've got a niche. And underneath that, improving your relationship with yourself and others. Imagine how many different types of people you can attract there. Imagine what kind of variety of age group, of demographic, of even presenting issue can show up underneath that. And so you've created this theme, this niche for your practice, and underneath that, allowing yourself so much flexibility and freedom for a bunch of different types of clients. Maybe you're someone who loves working with folks across the age, across the lifespan. This is something we encounter a lot when we're coaching our students in Confident Copy and things like that. So maybe you love working with children and teens, but you also really love working with adults. Those are pretty, they're the challenges that those folks experience are pretty distinct from one another, right? Me as a parent of a elementary school child who is struggling with anxiety is very different than me as a 20-something navigating, leaving the nest and starting early in my career. So again, if we hold all of those folks in mind, what outcome are they looking for? Maybe they're looking for reaching their fullest potential. A parent wants to see their child reach their full potential. I, as a young adult who's entering into the workforce, I want to see my own full potential. So you can see the activity here, the exercise is to hold in your mind the different types of clients you love to work with. And maybe those are people you've actually worked with. Maybe they're people from your community mental health setting, the group practice you work with, whatever that might be, pre-private practice. Maybe they're just people that you imagine in your mind. They don't have to be a concrete person. But when you hold in your mind the different types of work that you love to do and the different types of clients you love to serve, what's the theme? And theming, niching your practice around an outcome can allow you so much of that freedom and flexibility that new private practice owners are looking for. So that's an outcome-based niche. Looks like we have maybe a couple questions, so feel free to put more into the comments. That's really, really helpful for those private practice owners who realize, all right, there is a theme of where I'm getting my clients. Like there is, when we look at everything that they come in with, they're all sort of working toward the same goal. If we can articulate that goal, then we've created a niche for you and we've created some direction for your marketing. The other one is approach. And granted, if you're new in private practice, you may still be figuring out what that approach is. You're still honing your expertise. Of course, you're engaging in continuing education as you will for the rest of your career. So maybe you're still kind of figuring out, like, who am I as a therapist, that kind of thing. But again, if you sit with this idea of why would someone choose me and not another therapist, please brag on yourself a little bit. There's something you offer. There's a reason. I don't care if you are freshly licensed or 20 years in, there is something you do very, very well in the room with your clients. And I stand behind that. If you do this work and you have seen good outcomes with your clients, there's a reason. There's something you brought into that room. It was not all them. What was it about you that they liked or that they appreciated that allowed you to do good work? You can niche yourself. There's so much freedom and flexibility around here. So you can really get creative. Some examples of things that we've seen around an approach-based niche. Maybe you have a modern approach to therapy. Truly, I've seen people be incredibly successful. I've worked with clients who offer a modern approach to therapy. They're online only. It's convenient. They're using modern methods. Modern can mean a lot of different things, but if people just appreciate that you are up to date and modern, guess what? That's a niche. Maybe you're holistic. This is a very common one, and we've seen it work great. You don't just look at mental health in a box. You look at wellness as kind of that bigger picture. We're going to look at, sure, mind, body, spirit. We're going to look at nutrition and hydration. We're going to look at movement. We are going to see you as the whole person that you are. Maybe people really appreciate you because you are culturally competent, culturally responsive. You perhaps have your own experience with, kind of cultural backgrounds and things like that. But you, again, see your client as more than just the person that they are. You look at the systems that they come from. You understand the nuance of what it means to come from perhaps we were kicking off with a client earlier this week who specializes in the Latinx community. She has an understanding of the nuances of that community and that culture and what that means for people as they are kind of defining their individuality. Maybe you're culturally competent or culturally responsive. Maybe you're non-traditional as a person. Maybe your approach to therapy is non-traditional. Maybe you're like anti-cardigan, anti-stuffy. People love that you are a real person. You swear, whatever. Maybe you're non-traditional. That, please hear me, is a niche. You do not have to go claim a certain presenting issue to be successful. You can actually niche your practice around that. Maybe you're inclusive, hugely, hugely effective. Maybe you are really based in science. You're someone who really appreciates neuroscience. You're going to teach people about their nervous systems. Certain clients are attracted to that. So you can see, and under an approach niche, there's so many different things you can do. And all of these are viable niches. Part of choosing a niche when you're early on is just starting to put into words the work you do best. That's really what a niche is all about. And so if you sit with this idea again, okay, when I hold the different clients in my mind, what themes do I see? What sort of bubbles up to the surface that they all have in common? What's the common denominator across these guys? Oftentimes that's going to be a shared outcome, and that can be a really, really powerful niche. Or why do I do such good work with the right people? What did draw these folks to me? What do I bring into the room? Why am I the best therapist or the right therapist for the right client? Putting that into words is also very, very powerful and can also lend your practice a whole ton of direction, especially early on. Eventually, as you continue doing this work, your niche may narrow. It may not. Hear me. I have seen people in practice for decades and still maintain a higher level, broader, as people would say, niche. It might narrow. You might realize, wow, I really love doing holistic therapy. I really love doing it with highly sensitive women. Or I really love, therapy that's focused on improving your relationships, but I especially like it with people who are coming in recognizing that they have trauma, whatever that might be. It may or may not narrow as you continue doing this work. The point of today's training and the point of these two niche types is that they are affording you the flexibility and the freedom to learn those things. They are giving your marketing direction. They are giving your marketing clarity in the eyes of your client while allowing you to continue figuring this out and exploring and enjoying the evolution of who you're going to be. Because the therapist you are today is not the therapist you're going to be 3 years from now, and it's not the therapist you're going to be 2 decades from now. Your niche is going to continue to evolve. It should continue to evolve. But when it comes to a starting point, when it comes to how do I even put myself out there, outcome and approach are two very, very liberating ways to do that, rather than the traditional niche being often so limiting for people that are early on. Alrighty, that's kind of the end of my ta-da. That's sort of the end of what my notes and what I was wanting to share with you guys. If you have questions, let me know. But this is what I really want to just encourage you around, is that you don't have to pigeonhole yourself, and that you can do this in a way that is very, very liberating. If you want help with this, please know that niching is like my favorite thing ever. We have a free niche quiz. If you haven't taken that, start there. walkerstrategyco.com/niche-quiz. Totally free, 9 questions. We're going to help you narrow this down and actually give you some examples of how to put this into words. And then, of course, Confident Copy is where I get to do my best niche coaching. That is our marketing mentorship program, where I am the niche coach, actually. So I have other coaches in the program, but you and I are going to brainstorm back and forth until this niche is crystal clear. Next month, we're going to be reopening Confident Copy at an exclusive price and with some extra bonuses. You can learn all about the program, walkerstrategyco.com/CC, the letter CC. If you'd like to know more about this upcoming promotion, if you want to ask some questions and get those answered, walkerstrategyco.com/curious, the word curious, and you can sign up there. You'll receive an invite to a Q&A with me, and you'll have an opportunity to kind of get behind the scenes of the program. But those are the 2 best ways to get some additional clarity and guidance around your niche, because when you figure this out, it truly does unlock your potential, and it unlocks the power of your marketing as a new private practice owner. So, alrighty. Lori said, can you speak to the difference between a niche and a specialty? Absolutely, Lori. The way that we talk about it, and everyone sort of defines this a little bit differently. When we think about a niche, the niche is the overarching theme across your specialties. And so if your niche is, again, if we use this, this outcome example that we were using, so couples, those women with self-doubt, and then trauma-informed work, those would be your specialties. Couples would be a specialty. Women with self-doubt would be a specialty. Your niche would be the kind of the umbrella. If you've been around here before, you may have heard me use the term red thread. That's another way to sort of articulate a niche, but it's this like overarching theme. And then underneath that is where those specialties are. So the overarching theme might be inclusive therapy. And then underneath that, your specialties would be LGBTQ+, multicultural, and EMDR. I'm just throwing those out there. So your specialties can sort of be the pieces and the groups that you serve, or the methods that you use, and then that niche is that overarching theme. Great question. Tally says, definitely appreciate the idea and fear of missing out on clients. That FOMO, like I said, is very, very common. Tally, do you have a list of outcome-based niches to get us thinking? Absolutely, Tally. Actually, go ahead and take that free niche quiz, and we actually give some examples of what that might be. I could pull, and then if you don't end up being an outcome-based niche based on the quiz, you're always welcome to send us an email, because we do have a list of some examples. But that's a great way to actually see it in context of what some of those outcomes could be. Tally, could personalized be a niche? Personalized, actually, yes, it can be a niche. And holy cow, does that allow you a whole lot of freedom, because you can offer personalized, a personalized approach to just about anyone. That brings up an interesting thing that I just maybe want to close on here. Sometimes when I help clinicians articulate a niche in places like Confident Copy, they'll be like, well, yeah, but Everyone else does that. And I say, yeah, maybe. Like personalized. Hopefully, most therapists are personalizing the approach, right? Some more than others. Um, but most, like lots of therapists are gonna personalize things. Does that actually set me apart? Guess what? Very few of those other therapists around you who technically offer personalized therapy don't say it. Your niche does not have to be a unicorn. Your niche does not have to be something absolutely nobody else does. All your niche has to be is clear. The example that I've used before, and I'll close with this, is my favorite plumbing story. So I'm on the interstate here in Nashville and I'm driving along and I see a plumbing truck. They're headed probably to a job or whatever. And on the side of that plumbing truck says the on time plumber. Don't you hope any plumbing company that you hire is on time? I sure do. But these guys have niched themselves. They have branded themselves around being the on time plumber. And so when I am, when it's 9:30 and I have a clogged sink and my husband's not home, I better hope that the guy that I'm calling is on time. And guess who's going to come to my mind? It's not to say that no one else is on time. It's just to say that that is what these guys want to be known for. So Tally, if you want to be known for offering personalized therapy, do it. All you have to do is be clear about it. You don't have to do something that no one else does. So I want to end with that because that is often kind of a good reminder for folks as they are making these decisions. You don't have to be a unicorn to be successful. You just have to be clear. What do you want to be known for? Put words to it. You've got a niche. Alrighty, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here today. I love this opportunity to get to sit with you and offer some insights. If there is anything that we can be doing to support you, please do drop a comment in the chat. We would love to get to continue to see you grow and evolve in this niching and marketing and private practice world. I'll talk to you later.